Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very glad to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And as always these days, the show comes to you live from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. And we couldn't be happier to say that. Big thanks out to Nick Farbaugh, who joined me earlier today. If you haven't had a chance to check out that interview, it is up on YouTube. It's on over there. It's also over on
the place where you find our podcast.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about Podbean as well because the audio distributes from there as well. And I haven't posted it yet to the actual SteelCityBlitz.com website. But Nick was fantastic. He is a full-fledged beat writer now for Steelers Now, and he was just getting out to Tampa and was courteous enough to sit down and chat with me and really good stuff. About 40 minutes, a lot of really, really good insight on Pickett, what they're doing with the offensive line. He talked a little bit about Kendrick Green, which we'll talk about tonight, and a bunch of other stuff too. So anyway, welcome in. I see some of our regulars are back. Great to see everybody, and get yourself in there, get in the chat, jump on in. We'd love to have you. Become one of our regulars. We want as many regulars as we possibly can. And thank you, Burner, very much. Glad you had a minute to catch that interview. Yeah, Nick is fantastic. Did a great job. It is so fun to see a guy that just truly loves the Steelers and loves football. And that's Nick. And Ian is obviously here on time, unlike other members of the show. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. And Scarps will not be with us tonight. We won't get into why. I don't want to embarrass him, but he couldn't be here. So therefore there will not be a Casey Kasem. Unless he suddenly rises from the dead.
Unless he unfreezes himself.
Right. And Burner, I'm sorry. Ben is not at another Nickelback concert tonight. I believe they've already made their way through the Oregon area. They're probably on their way to Michigan at some point. God knows there's Nickelback fans in this godforsaken state.
That's probably the truest thing you've ever said on the show.
It might be. Yeah, it might be. Welcome back, Ben. Welcome back.
Just got home.
Wonderful. Good for you. Glad. Hope everything's good and get your workout in.
Yeah. Well, that was this afternoon at lunch, so we're fine.
All right. Very good.
Anyway.
Awesome. We're just opening up the show and got a nice group here already with us. Burner's already on fire and everybody's good. So lots to talk about. The Steelers kick it off tomorrow night, and hopefully their offensive line plays a hell of a lot better than the Patriots' offensive line has played tonight under offensive line coach Adrian Clem, might I add.
What a shock.
I think it's fantastic.
I do too. I'm telling you what, as soon as they went away from that first team, that first unit, that the Texans were in the face of the New England quarterbacks. It was bad. And I'm excited for it. But Ian, where do you rank this time of year for you in terms of the overall year, in terms of excitement and stuff?
The excitement is building. It's not full. I mean, it's getting closer. This is probably, I'd say it's a little more exciting than the draft. Like the draft is exciting because it's like, let's see who we're going to get. But then, the draft happens and you're like, all right, well, I did all this research on these players and we got 7 of them or 8 of them. And, now we just got to wait and see what happens. But now the wait and see what happens is here. So, I think it becomes a little more exciting to actually see them in pads hitting someone who's not wearing their jersey or wearing a different jersey. I think it's more exciting than the draft, probably the most exciting it's been since the last time they played live football.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. Live football. And that's what we'll actually see tomorw night.
It won't be good football. Preseason game 1 is terrible football, but it is still football.
Yeah. Ben, how about your level of excitement?
Oh, I'm pretty pumped. Obviously there are a lot of questions that need to be answered in terms of what this team is capable of and what they're not. And we're beginning to find that out. The doomsday people that get really, they're going to suck. They're going to be terrible. Tomlin fucking sucks. They're firing him. Blah, 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 blah. And did you hear that?
No, we didn't. It was just funny watching you mute and then scream. I believe it was "Shut the fuck up, Tucker."
It was.
Yeah. That was priceless. Yeah.
The doomsday people and the sunshine people are both wrong. I'll just, spoiler alert. It's true. They're both fucking wrong. This team, I think, is going to be really fun to watch this year. I'm pretty excited. I don't think they are a contender this season, but I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're going to be really fun. And we're not going to know exactly what we're going to get every week, and it's going to be exciting. I'm pretty excited about it.
So when you say not a contender but playoffs, are you saying not a contender for a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would put myself in that category. I asked Nick earlier today. I said, "What's a successful season?" And he said improvement upon last year, which means 10-7 and making the playoffs. And I didn't press him on do they need to win a playoff game or anything like that, but that's what he felt was success from last year. So, and I don't know why my light just flickered.
Yeah,
that
almost
one, yeah. You have to see light.
Yeah, I'll also add, since you asked about how excited I am, I think this might be the most excited I've been for a preseason in quite a while. Last year there was some excitement because it was Kenny's rookie year. We didn't, you wanted to see him, wanted to see what we were getting. But really, like, for a long time with Roethlisberger, the starters didn't play, but now we've got so many young starters. They have to play. They have to get reps with each other. And especially for a young quarterback, that's the only way they get better is by getting more reps. So, Pickett needs those reps, and we're going to see him play. So I think, it's probably the most excited I've been for a preseason, just because, as Ben referenced, there are so many questions they have to figure out. So I don't want to see what happens. You want to see him get out there and get some answers.
Well, I just want to caution everybody real quickly, because we all have this tendency to, even after 3 games in the preseason, we read a whole bunch of stuff into what this team is capable of and what they're not. Who they are today is not who they'll be in September. Who they are in September is not who they'll be in October. So on and so forth. And these teams they change continually. And the complexion of the league changes about every 4 weeks, as we discuss every year.
Yep.
So, Ben, what you're saying is that the 2008 Detroit Lions, who went 4-0 in the preseason, that was not an indicator of what was going to happen in the regular season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
I think it doesn't.
The Detroit Lions went undefeated several times
that year.
They went undefeated several times.
4-0, 0-16.
Yeah.
And I think, didn't the Browns, weren't they maybe like 3-1 the year they went 1-15?
Oh,
I'd have to go back and look. Seems like they had a decent preseason, but be that as it may.
I mean, it's preseason. The record doesn't fucking matter. The coaches aren't trying to win.
No. It doesn't Baltimore currently have like a 23 game preseason winning streak? That something might like be the most useless stat in all of team sports. I mean,
depends. If you're betting, I guess it's probably not.
If you're, I mean, but if you're Harbaugh, you'd almost think you'd want to lose at some point, just because you probably.
Well, apparently Harbaugh thinks the preseason is really important, and so he leaves his starters in longer than the other coaches do.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
Make sure he gets a lead, and then he pads his stats, which I think is pretty fucking stupid. But whatever.
It's also
He's
a Harbaugh. Yeah, Harbaugh. That's all you need to say, Harbaugh. So you guys are both, Ian, I'll go to you. You're both okay with Kenny Pickett getting snaps tomorrow night?
Oh, he needs to. Yeah, he's got it.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got new offensive linemen in front of him. You've got, and Allen Robinson's a new receiver. You got to get him reps. You got to get him out there. Got to get him playing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I mean, this isn't a situation where it's Ben Roethlisberger. You already know what you have. Don't risk him getting hurt. There's always a risk. I mean, whether the quarterback plays 1 snap or 100 snaps, there's always a risk. You got to get him out there.
Yeah.
And you got to get him snaps. You got to get him back in there. And I'm totally good with it. And Ben, it sounds like you're good with Pickett going tomorrow night too.
Yeah, I don't see where there's any question that he would.
Mm-hmm.
They only have 3 preseason games now. That certainly plays into the decision.
Right. Absolutely true. I guess I'm curious to see how long he's in. He's a competitor. You know, if things don't go well those first couple drives, does he go to Tomlin and say, "Hey, I want to stay in there"? Ben used to do that kind of stuff. So, who knows? I mean, it's just Mike Tomlin's got a plan. I'm absolutely sure that he's got an idea of what he wants to do with Pickett and everybody else. But yeah, we'll see. But I'm definitely curious to see what how long he does, and of course how well he does too. So yeah, go ahead.
You think they come out and throw the ball deep early?
I mean, if there's been one overriding thing in this training camp, it's been throwing the ball deep.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I'd be a little surprised if they didn't.
Yeah.
Because there's no use trying to fool Tampa Bay in preseason week 1. I mean, do what you've been doing. So yeah, I mean, I think they're going to try to go deep to Pickens. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to go a little deep over the middle, maybe Darnell Washington a few times. Sure. I don't know.
I don't expect. I expect very, very vanilla football. And,
for God's sake!
I mean, let's be frank. Canada's schemes are very vanilla during the regular season, and I don't expect a departure from that. So anybody who thinks they're going to be really excited by this new offense, no, you're not. Not tomorrow.
Let's talk about the Kendrick Green thing. This all started last Friday night at the Latrobe Memorial Stadium, the annual Under the Lights scrimmage.
Friday Night Lights.
Yep. And first of all, kudos to the fans. They set a record, over 13,000 people there. So, way to go, Steelers Nation. Not surprised, but way to go either way. I mean, what are we looking at here, Ian? I mean, is this a real thing, or are they just experimenting, in your opinion? What's going on with Kendrick Green?
I mean, they had the guy who they brought in as a fullback got hurt.
Yep.
And the only other one they had listed on the depth chart was Connor Hayward, who was listed as kind of like an H-back.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just need guys to kind of take reps in practice. And, on one hand, kudos to Kendrick Green for stepping up and being like, hey, I'll step in and do it, and we'll see what happens.
When he found out about that? On Friday night when he showed up at Latrobe.
Yeah. I would not be surprised. Yeah.
And he was like, well, I play center anyway, so I kind of know everybody's supposed to be. So it's fine.
Yeah. Does it go? I mean, we'll see. I mean, that honestly for Kendrick Green, that might be the only way he gets a roster spot on this team, because he was, to me, a bubble player to begin with anyway. So, he could be looking at it as, hey, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team and to try and get myself on this roster and not get cut. So there's that.
Hi, Jen.
I don't think he'll be a terribly effective player. He wasn't a terribly effective center. He couldn't block guys that were right in front of him. Now you give those guys a running start. I don't know if how well he'll do at that, but we'll see.
There's one more situation here that allows for him to be moved to fullback, and that is Spencer Anderson is looking pretty okay at center right now, and Nick Herbig is getting snaps at center as well. So that situation allows for the possibility of a move to fullback, maybe. I agree with Ian, though. I don't see, even if that dynamic plays out, I don't necessarily see a guy who's going to be real effective as a fullback either.
Right.
I've seen him whiff some guys, take a step toward a guy who's trying to block.
Bad.
And don't get me wrong. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That linebacker took himself out of the play completely. Okay. So there's that, right? By going around him. But he stepped toward him and didn't even get a chip in. And the knock on him pretty much from the jump has been his lateral quicks are just too slow. Like he's very, very slow to react. And guys go around right across his face and around him. And there were shades of that when I saw him miss that block.
Yes.
At fullback. And don't get me wrong, like I said, the linebacker in that player ran himself completely out of the play, but still.
I want to root for Kendrick Green. I mean,
sure.
I look at him as a guy, it wasn't his fault that he was drafted in the
whole
round.
NFL. Yeah, the whole NFL had him draftable in the middle rounds.
Right.
As a guard center.
He's a guard.
But he's not a good guard either.
No.
He's not.
I root for him, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be ridiculous about it and say, yeah, we got to do this because no, we don't. And you're not. Mike Tomlin's not going to keep a roster spot for a gimmick. They're just too valuable.
Should we address the whole the Ben Roethlisberger remarks?
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, go ahead because I think that's important too.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are taking
set the context, if you will.
Very okay. So Ben says, I'm a huge Kendrick Green fan. He's one of my guys, yada yada. They drafted him to play center. Last year, he was inactive all season. Okay. And this year, props to him for trying to find a way, not quitting, trying to find a way to get on the field and saying, yeah, I'll play fullback. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'll be the guy. Okay, if you haven't seen the clip, I'm going to encourage you to go to YouTube and watch the clip, see the whole thing in context. But basically, the fans are taking a very, very black and white approach to this. Either Ben meant nothing at all by it. It was just a compliment to his friend, Kendrick Green, or Ben is taking a huge shot at the Steelers. And he's saying, what the fuck? Why'd you draft this guy to play center? Okay. It's really neither one of those things from my standpoint. It's Ben saying, yeah, they drafted this guy to play center. He couldn't play center. And I still made it work. Kudos to me. But now I'm going to compliment Kendrick by saying, hey, good for you for doing whatever you have to do to help the team out and get out of the field. The whole thing where he mentions Kevin and all of that. Yeah. Okay, cool. From my standpoint, this is it Adrian Clem? I want to call him Aaron Clem. It's Adrian Clem. That pick is on Adrian Clem, who loved the pick, loved the player, and sucked donkey. The guy was awful. We all know this. We saw him play his rookie year. He was terrible. That pick is on Adrian Clem. But a lot of the league had him draftable in the third round as a guard center. The Steelers just happened to take him.
Yeah.
And there were good centers before that the Steelers could have taken. And there was a really good center they could have taken the year before instead of Freiermuth, which I wish they had. Sorry, Steelers Nation.
That was the same year.
Was it the same year?
Yeah. That was the year they took Najee and Freiermuth and Green in the third round. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, I would have rather had the center that Kansas City has right now because he's fucking amazing. Yeah. He was working with Pouncey. The guy just doesn't have any ability, Jen. He doesn't react quickly enough. His reaction speed, his lateral quickness is poor. He's not a player in the NFL.
He's the kind of guy I'd feel comfortable with in a phone booth. Because he doesn't have to go left or right.
He'd be okay in a gap blocking scheme, but he still have to pass block in the NFL, which he can't do.
Right.
Yeah. He can't do. Yeah. So this is not a guy that I think he's probably going to get cut at the end of camp because they're not really going to have an effective fullback. And this is going to be the last we're going to hear of him. It's not his fault. I agree with you.
No, I agree.
But he's just not a guy that can play at this level.
No, that's kind of what I've settled on.
And let's not forget too that in the third round that year, the Steelers obviously needed a center because Pouncey had retired.
Right.
And yes, they passed on Creed Humphrey in the second round and the first round. But
yeah,
there was another
you'd be fine
guy.
Now if they'd taken that guy in the first round, you'd be like, God, he's really good. Fine, fine.
There was another guy you may recall who went to a D3 school and lit up the Senior Bowl named Quinn Miners, who was still on the board when we picked in the third round.
He's playing guard for the Broncos now.
Yeah, he played center for the Broncos his first year, and now he got moved to guard. Yeah. But Miners was kind of the Twitter darling of that year, right? Everyone on Twitter loved him. But
solid player.
Miners has started 22 career games and has been called for 4 total penalties. Kendrick Green started 15 games and it has 6 penalties.
I mean,
so
that's not the only measure.
It's not the only measure, but like just as a quick one.
It's a fair point.
But Miners is still
if they had a
in
stat,
this league, right?
If they had a stat for missed blocks,
yes. Okay, I'm sure I can find that.
I'm fairly certain that Kendrick Green would have led the team his rookie year because he was god awful.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it, right? Like, and both of those guys were both kind of the guard center types. Like they had played guard and center in college, and the Steelers took the guy that played at a Big Ten school instead of the guy who played at a D3 school. And neither of them stuck at center. Both of them played center their rookie year and in theory transitioned to guard, whereas one of them is still starting and the other one might be a fullback now.
Right.
So,
Keller has better vision and awareness.
Helen Keller was really good. She was really good laterally too.
I don't think that vision or awareness are his issues. I just don't think he's got the athleticism to play that position in the NFL.
Yeah.
The guys that play D-line in the NFL are freak athletes. Every one of them were stars in college.
Even the ones that don't look it are freak athletes.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like, okay, on one hand, I kind of understand what Roethlisberger's saying. Like, they drafted this guy to play center, and they just didn't play him anymore. But on the other hand, like, if you realize a guy sucks, you don't keep throwing him out there. At some point, you got to cut your losses and be like, all right, we got to improve this team and
even
get someone
going into camp last year. And actually, at the end of the season, when Ben retired, he talked about the fact that Kendrick Green should move to guard.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
that was Ben's stance, and he's not an offensive line coach.
Right,
stretch of the imagination. But Kendrick Green at guard was awful.
Well, look at it from Ben's perspective. I mean, here I am. I'm going to give it one more go. And in my very last year, you're going to plug in a guy at center who is Kendrick Green, who doesn't really have any center experience. I mean, I'd be a little insulted by that.
The guy played 4 games at center in Illinois. I kept trying to tell people that when they drafted him. I was like, this is not a lock. This is not a slam dunk. I don't know what you're excited about. This is not an easy transition. But more than that, the guy just doesn't have the athleticism to do what is needed at the position. He just isn't that guy.
Right. And that translates to the fact I don't think he's got the ability to do it as a fullback either. Yeah, he might be able to slam into the line a couple times. He might be able to lead block, but
maybe
based on what I saw on a couple of things, man,
What they want him to do is do what Ricard does in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And, he'd probably play, if he played, 5 or 6 snaps a game.
Speaking of, did you see the Ravens are considering moving him to the offensive line?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came down yesterday.
Why are they short?
They have some issues on the O-line. Yep.
They're short of guard.
Shucks, what a shame.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Is your power going out, man?
Nah, I got a thing going on down here with my refrigerator, and it's affecting the light. So we'll be fine.
Right.
Even if I'm pitch black, we're going to keep rolling with this sucker.
Oh, okay.
Hey, that's how overtime happened the first time.
Exactly.
It was fantastic. Have you got the infrared light on your webcam? Light your face up?
Probably not, but doesn't mean I can't find something. I'll run up and grab a flashlight.
Must being a smart ass.
I
need to get a beer.
All right.
And pour myself some whiskey.
You go do that. I missed this one from Burner. Bush looking good tonight. It's not hard looking. It's Waffle House. You know what?
I don't know. I've seen some of those videos of Waffle House workers. That's
exactly where I was going, Eden. I've seen some very impressive Waffle House employees beat the shit out of some of those unruly customers. Let me tell you.
The thing that I think is funny about the Bush situation is when he leaves, he says, "I really don't know why the Steelers didn't want to re-sign me or use my 5th-year option." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know?"
I get the feeling with him. Got the feeling with him that was part of the entire problem, is that he just never got it.
I get the feeling with that guy that he's just an obstinate fuckhead.
I think
I'm sorry,
some of that,
and maybe they should have known that based upon the suit he wore to the draft, and just been like, "Yeah, maybe we shouldn't draft that guy." I don't know.
Well,
kind of shades of Pac-Man.
Yeah. Well, I'll reference Nick's interview one more time. He had some really interesting comments on the Steelers strategy and what they learned from moving up to get Devin Bush. And he had some interesting thoughts on that, which I hadn't really thought about. But so I wish him well, but it's not a Steeler anymore. So that's that. Earlier on, I think it was, who was it that asked that question? I think Chris asked about George Pickens. When is he going to become a number 1 wide receiver?
This season.
Ben, I'm sorry?
This season.
When they get an offensive coordinator that can scheme him open. He has all the ability. He gets
a lot of one-on-one looks.
Yeah.
And as long as he keeps getting them, they'll keep throwing him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if Pickett can deliver it, he'll catch it, and he will be the guy.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to me that is lacking in Pickens' game right now is yards after the catch. If he can start racking up yards after the catch.
And why is that?
Because he has to
come back for the ball.
Ass.
No, it's because he has to come back for the ball.
Yeah.
If you can throw him the ball where he's running away from the quarterback, he can make a big play. That's the problem with the Steelers passing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
If you have to come back and you're facing the quarterback when you catch the ball, you have a very difficult time getting yards after the catch.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ben, God bless him. Maybe the guy wasn't a great leader. Maybe the guy has got an ego he needs to feed. Maybe there are a bunch of detractors there. But the guy threw guys in a position where they could catch the ball and run away from a defender. Okay? Mm-hmm. That is what is missing. And it's not just the quarterback. It's also the fucking play design. The play design sucks, especially if you're Deontay Johnson. And 50% of the defense is on the other side of you when you catch the ball. And when you catch it facing the quarterback because the route was designed that way.
Did you hear the interview with Matt Canada where or maybe it was an article? I don't remember which one it was. It might have been that article in the Ringer about Pickens. But one of them, they asked Canada about Pickens' development, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's really been able to expand his route tree. We're gonna be able to do so much more with him with running curls and comebacks and slant routes." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like Matt Canada's excited about running slants and comebacks with this guy.
I would be really excited if they ran slants and posts with DJ. Honestly, I'm not lying.
Yes.
I would be like, at least it's not a curl or a fucking comeback.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, slant routes are great. The problem with running a slant route to Deontay Johnson, to be honest with you, is you don't know if the ball's going to clang off of his hands and fall right into the safety.
Come on, how many drops did he have last year?
Okay, statistically, or how many did he actually have? Because there was at least 3 I can think of off the top of my head that were slant routes that the ball hit off his hands and then hit a defender in the chest. Whether or not that defender caught it was another story.
Yeah.
But
you're right. You're right. I think.
I mean, I'm not saying the guy has great hands. I'm not trying to make that case. I just think his hands are overblown as an issue. I don't think that's the issue so much as the fact that our passing schemes, the concepts suck. They're fucking horrible.
So I'm disagreeing with you there.
No, I'm not either.
They're obvious. They're easy to diagnose. And I don't expect them to change. I expect Canada to keep running the same shit out there and just going, well, it'll work. You run it long enough, it'll work. No, dude, it's not going to fucking work. They know what's coming. You're an idiot.
Let me address somebody asked, something I was going to ask was about the route tree in terms of George Pickens. I mean, we know he can definitely
he can run sevens and he can run nines.
Right. 7s and 9s. You're right. What are like one or two other routes?
Okay. I have seen some film where he ran better routes in camp this year. So yes. I should give him a little bit of credit. He's working on his game. And that's good. Like an out and in, which is kind of a simple concept, but he's doing a good job selling it and creating separation by doing so. It's getting better. I will say it's getting better, but yeah, last year he was a one-trick pony. It was Mike Wallace all over again.
Yeah, in many ways it was, and I think if he can add to that tree, then he just becomes that much better of a receiver, and a bigger threat to defenses. And
getting a beer,
welcome in Charlie to the show, and dumpster fire. I know the question before was, what would they have to do to bring Canada back? And we've talked about that before on here, that you've got to see obviously improvement in Kenny Pickett. You got to see points go up. You got to see victories go up. You got to see red zone percentage go up. So there's got to be a lot of improvement, Ian.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I think if they come out and average 27, 28 points a game and win a playoff game, then maybe you consider it. But other than that, I mean, this is the last year of his contract, and we've all talked on the show about how, we have no sources on this, but kind of have the gut feeling of, Tomlin's on the competition committee, Art's on the committee of owners that studies the trends about how much money is basically wasted on assistant coaches that get fired. The finance committee. Yeah. So, he had 1 year left on his contract, and they decided not to terminate that contract early, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, and again, that memo that went out was over the last, was it 5 years or 10 years? I think
it wasn't a very long amount of time.
I think it was 5 years, and it was $800 million that had been burned on assistants and head coaches, assistants, and front office employees that had been terminated before their contract was up, and it had to be paid out anyway. And Art's on that committee, as you just pointed out.
Yep.
And Art's also frugal, and if a guy makes $700,000, I mean, but then there's the flip side of that. There have been guys that have gotten big signing bonuses, and they got cut, and I was shocked. Not big signing bonuses, but big enough.
Real quick, guys, I failed to answer this at the beginning. What are we drinking tonight?
Oh shit,
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw.
We are on the Bradshaw Bourbon Steel City Blitz podcast.
That's true, and
I should have just gotten
a wee bit left
out. You just need to get another one. I should have just gotten out the big beer when I started. But I wouldn't have stuff. Oh, what batch is that?
It's still batch 2.
Holy shit!
Yeah. Aaron is apparently 9 years old, drinking a Mountain Dew Code Red.
Hey,
batch 4.
Probably having some cheese doodles with that as well.
You know what's something I saw in the liquor store the other day, and I was shocked. And no, I didn't buy it. That's your next question.
Sunny Delight.
Hard Mountain Dew.
Really?
Swear to God.
Wow.
I thought about it. I was like, God, that'd be a huge novelty thing. But then I had to drink one. I don't know if I want to do that. Nah, never mind. I can stay there.
Jen, that might be the light of the night.
That is awesome, Jen.
That is wow.
Fire right there.
I picked up a little bit of a cold on my summer glamping trip this past weekend, so I'm drinking tea in one mug and whiskey in another. So trying to make it through the show here without sneezing too much. The old farmers drank whiskey when they got sick, right? They're like, it's a miracle cure.
Well, hot toddies.
Yeah, I still have family members that believe in that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the hot toddy.
Yeah.
Well, hot toddies are fantastic.
Believe in them often.
Aaron asked what's on the mug. So for those that don't follow me on Twitter and don't know that I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, my wife got me a mug that has the 4 hobbits on the mug. So that's what's on the mug. Yes.
All right. Tomorrow night in Tampa.
Yes.
Ian, who is the one guy on offense you want to watch the most?
I mean, I'm really excited to see how Broderick Jones does. I don't think Isaac Seumalo is going to play all that much, but I'm still excited to see him in black and gold. But also Calvin Austin, having not played last year, I think they're going to want to try and get him the ball a little bit and kind of see what he can do in an actual game. So I think Calvin Austin's going to be a popular one. But the other, I'm answering with 4 guys, but I don't really care. The other kind of under the radar one is Anthony McFarland, because right now we've got Najee and we've got Jalen Warren at running back, but we don't really have a third running back that's sort of separated themselves as like, this guy definitely deserves a roster spot at this point. So, I think those second half carries, Harris and Warren will probably play the first half, but McFarland should get some work in the second half. And, if he can show out well against the scrubs, then that'll kind of give him a good shot to make the roster.
And sadly with him, that's kind of been the story, especially last year. Great camp, looked pretty decent in the preseason, and then it was like, once the regular season rolled around. Yeah. Ben, who are you looking forward to watching tomorrow night offensively?
The whole line, obviously. Broderick Jones is part of that, and yes, I'm excited to see him play. Darnell Washington, who you guys know I was just fucking giddy they drafted. I really want to see him do something tomorrow night. And, we'll see what comes of that. And we're just talking offense now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then all of the whole collection of backup centers, like, I don't know if we've got, they put Nate Herbig at center this week. Kedrick Green is playing some fullback. Maybe he'll play center too. Ryan McCollum and Spencer Anderson. So they got a bunch of guys back there basically competing for one spot. Right?
Yep.
So, we'll see what comes of this. I also think that they dropped Herbig into the center role because they think if he can play center competently, they can make him the emergency center or the backup center, if you will, on Sundays and save a hat.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather see that, or would you rather see Daniels slide into center and Herbig replace him at guard?
I'd rather see that. That's me. But
that's what I meant.
I don't think they want to take Daniels out of the position that he's in because he's playing very well.
True.
Yeah.
So it's like, why weaken 2 positions? That kind of
exactly
an outlook.
Okay. Tunch and Wolf used to talk about that all the time, that you don't want to. You might have to bring in a worse guy but you don't want to weaken yourself at 2 positions rather than just weakening yourself at 1.
Right. That's fair.
So
yeah, that's fair. I just looked at it.
I didn't mention Allen Robinson, and I should have. Obviously, Calvin Austin, Ian's already mentioned, and I'm excited to see that guy. He's run some routes in camp that I'm just like, okay, can he catch it? Can he run with it after the fact? This could be scary.
Yeah.
But Allen Robinson, the knock on him now is the only thing he can do is curls and comebacks, and so he's perfect for the Matt Canada scheme. I hope that's not true.
Yeah, I agree. CA3 was the guy that I would have said. You guys have both mentioned him. So therefore, I would say I'm really intrigued by this collection of 2 or 3 guys at the bottom of the wide receiver rankings here, because I think we all admit CA3
Mark is a big Gunnar Olszewski fan.
Well, I'm getting to that. DJ, George, and Allen Robinson are your 4. The question always then becomes, do the Steelers keep 5 wide receivers, or do they keep 6?
They're going to keep 5.
I think it's probably 5. And so therefore, Gunnar Olszewski, we know Mike Tomlin likes vets. He
likes Gunnar.
He likes Gunnar.
Don't forget about Hakeem Butler, though. They brought him in too.
They did. His training camp has been very up and down, from my understanding of what I've seen as well. I know one guy, and I don't know if it's just the media guys really like him or something, but everybody's talking about Cody White again. He's having a great camp. This might finally be his chance, and I just don't.
They're talking about Cody White every year at this point.
I know.
Year.
He's the new Justin Brown. He's the new.
No, it's like every year at this point. Cody White is the name.
Yep.
And then
don't forget about Miles Boykin, because what he brings on special teams is,
Boykin's making the team.
Boykin's making it, and there's your 5.
And so what? There'd be a 6th. Miles Boykin is making it because Danny Smith is going to make sure he makes it.
If
he may be the 51st player on the roster, but he's making it.
Well, look at it this way: if Tomlin wants CA3 at both his kick and punt returner, and he's comfortable with that, then Gunner's gone.
Well,
maybe. But
you know very well that what happens on cut down day, isn't necessarily the end of the roster movement.
Oh God,
they're going to cut guys and add guys and put guys on IR after the first day and a bunch of other shit. So
there are guys on other rosters right now that will be Pittsburgh Steelers on opening day.
But none of them are defensive linemen. None of them. There are the Steelers have an excess
we
of
do.
NFL caliber.
You really do right now, don't they?
I'm pretty excited about that fact. They're gonna cut some guys that can play in this league.
Yeah, there's probably 8 or 9 guys on the roster right now that fit that description of competent NFL defensive linemen.
Like they like Aaron Watts.
Armand
Watts, whatever. Some guy they signed this year in the offseason.
Well, and you wonder, I mean, are any of those guys, in your opinions, could you get a 7th for any of them?
I mean, you could for
Loudermilk maybe being on a rookie contract.
Yeah, for sure. A 6 or a 7. Probably a 7.
Yeah.
You can probably get 5 or a 6 for Kevin Dotson if somebody's desperate. It depends whether or not somebody's got an injury there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and here's the other question.
We got a lot of guys, man.
If we're shifting to the defense too, though, right? Like, obviously, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi here to stay.
Yeah.
No,
Fehoko, really? Yeah, right.
Fajoko's gonna make it.
Fehoko and Watts, you just signed this year, and maybe it's a sign of a regime change, whatever. But like,
I don't think Kevin Colbert signed for very much, though.
No,
very limited. No.
But when Kevin Colbert signed a guy, there was a pretty good chance he was going to make the team. I don't know if that's true with Omar Khan. I mean, I think Khan's trying to bring in NFL caliber guys to compete in camp so that the guys we have are the best possible guys, which is great.
Yeah. Armand Watts on a vet salary benefit deal. So
but what I'm saying
they
also
can cut him and they're out $150,000.
Right. But he's on a 1-year deal. So you're not going to trade him for anything, right?
No,
so
I mean, unless somebody's really fucking desperate and they want to make sure they sign him.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get him for less.
Right.
If you sign him.
But like Loudermilk, Leal, Keanu Benton, they just drafted. Like they're not going to trade. I don't think they're going to trade Leal because they just drafted him last year.
Let's just count them real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. You got Hayward, Ogunjobi, and Adams are currently listed as your starters.
Right.
Yep.
Leal, Fehoko, Keanu Benton. You're already at 6.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Loudermilk.
Then
and
you've got
Watts make eight.
Loudermilk, Watts,
Yep.
and some other guys that are just guys.
Yep.
So, I mean, they could theoretically keep 7.
I'm leaning that way.
I think they will.
Yeah.
But that's still either Watts or Loudermilk is getting cut, and Loudermilk is playing really well. I don't see Leal getting cut. He's playing all over the flipping
He
place.
is a little banged up. Now, I'm not suggesting that means he gets cut. I'm just saying that could make a situation where you might have to move some other pieces around, but he has been banged up a little bit.
The guy I think is trade bait, potentially, is Montravius Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what he's making. That's a good question.
I mean, we signed him off New Orleans practice squad. Did we give him
they
a new?
extended him.
We did. They extended him.
Yeah, they did. Aaron, I would love to see that. I would love to see Loudermilk return punts. That would probably be very funny. Also reckless, but very funny. Charlie mentioned the inside backers. I mean, I'll just jump right to it. That's what I want to watch tomorrow night. I'm watching those guys, whether it's Robinson, Holcomb, Roberts, or
Tanner Muse.
I mean, all those guys.
Nick Kwiatkowski.
Who's
that's
covering?
another Quan Alexander.
Adams is making $2.5 million this year. I don't think he's necessarily tradable if they give up on him or decide that he's expendable. I think he's a guy. Again, it would depend on whether or not there was a team that had a huge need because of an injury. But I don't see them trading. Fehoko came in with a very specific.
Yes. Plug the middle, baby.
Yeah, role. Yeah, he's just going to be a run plugger on obvious run situations and on short yardage downs. And Benton is a guy who they like because he's super athletic.
Yep.
And strong and uses his hands well. So I don't see either one of those guys going, which makes me believe that potentially the guy who's out is Adams.
Yeah, well, and especially if Benton can do the things Adams does, but is on a rookie contract, that's usually when the vets get cut.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And Benton's still a rook. He's not going to be super effective right out of the gate, but he's not a guy you want to give up on right away. It isn't just about the fact that he's a second-round pick. It's that he's talented as hell.
And we got to remember, too, that we spend, 65% of our time in specialty packages?
Yeah.
Which means you probably kick Cam down and Ogunjobi on the other side of him, and then you got your 2 outside backers.
And that's where I was going to go, because the outside linebacker is actually a place where we're really thin. So
they got a lot of linebackers too. They're really stacked at linebacker.
They're stacked at inside linebacker, but
inside
not
linebacker.
Outside.
Well, outside it's. I mean,
outside you got
who your outside linebackers are. You got Watt and Highsmith and Herbig and Golden. They're making the team.
And you got Quincy Roche. They kind of signed, but who knows what
they
happens
have Quincy
there.
Roche, but I see him probably being a practice squad guy just because they're so loaded in the middle.
But I'm excited. I want to see Herbig and Roche play, though, because I want to see if either of them has anything, right? Because if you only have 3 outside linebackers, then you kind of need something there. But
the word on Herbig is that he's already going to be a good pass rusher because he's so sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's already going to be a good pass rusher, but he's not a good edge setter.
Yeah.
So, but then in the middle, and this is where I was going with it before, when I'm like counting up linebackers, you've got Holcomb and Roberts, Alexander and Robinson, Tanner Muse, and then what? How do you spell his name?
Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, he's from Bethel Park, and then played for West Virginia. And
so that's 6 guys.
So, Whippeal kid.
That's 6 guys. Tops.
Yeah.
They're going to keep 5. And I'll be honest, I think Tanner Muse has already made the team because Danny Smith is going to keep him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that brings up an important point, though, that one of the big things to watch in a preseason game is who's making tackles on special teams.
Absolutely.
Because those coverage units, the guys that make tackles and make plays on special teams, really elevate themselves to potentially get a roster spot. You guys remember?
You talk about this every year, and you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I remember Patrick Bailey
Yeah.
He was a kid who was a linebacker at
94?
No. He was on the 08 Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
That's right.
But he was a linebacker at Duke and was like a biomedical engineering student. This kid was a genius, but he wanted to play in the NFL, and he was really friggin' good on special teams because he would just run down there and hit people.
Yeah.
And he wound up making the team through preseason and won a Super Bowl with us.
Right.
And he made some big special teams tackles in the playoffs.
You gotta have those guys.
Yeah.
You do. Well, now do you anymore? Because kickoffs are not a thing anymore. I mean, it's like they're going to let you do a fair catch on a kickoff, which I think is the biggest fucking bullshit rule change.
All right.
In decades.
Let me do one thing before we get to that, because I made an observation watching the game tonight, the Patriots and the Texans. Just real quick, Charlie's question about keeping Riley in the secondary.
Riley has played a lot so far. He's practiced a lot.
It's going to depend on injuries
because Riley has played a lot because he's in really good shape and because there's been a lot of injuries thus far. And so he's played safety and nickel and shown versatility, and he's made the most of it. So he might make it.
Yeah, you just don't know how things are going to shake out at the end of the day.
You really don't. The thing that's cool on defense, from my standpoint, is they got too many guys. They got too many guys at a lot of positions.
Yeah.
I don't love our corners. I really don't, especially in nickel.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got guys that are NFL capable at all those positions, and they can't keep them all.
Do you not love them, but at the same time, you don't really hate them either?
Well, the guys at nickel, Duke Dawson, Shannon Sullivan, and Elijah Riley, I'm like,
that's my concern there.
What the fuck?
Yep.
KZ has apparently been lighting it up all of camp, and right now has got a leg up on Keanu Neal to be the starter at strong safety, which I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's so early. It doesn't mean shit yet because guys, nice.
Oh, those are good. Yeah.
Guys will pass each other and then come back and get passed again a bunch of times between now and when they finally do cuts. KZ is absolutely making this team. He can play strong. Yeah. He can play strong. He can play free. He plays in those three safety sets they like to use. He's making the team. Keanu Neal's making the team. The question is, who's going to be the starter?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Norwood, who's going to be your backup free safety. Well, actually, KZ is.
And you got part of me wonders if Norwood could play slot too, because he's done it a little bit before. But
yeah, I was surprised they didn't try and stick Norwood in at slot.
Yeah,
this offseason. I know I agree with that because they obviously had a need. It's like, okay, so you're going to stick this guy Elijah Riley in there instead. All right, but the role there, and I should have started with this. The role they are trying to fill is the nickel on first and second down. And that's a guy who can tackle well on rundowns. That's who that guy has to be on first and second down. You know, they're looking.
I don't disagree with what Charlie said because KZ is a bit fragile. He was hurt last year and at this point in the year and missed some time, and he's missed a little bit of time so far. So if he can
but when he plays,
he's a bit of a difference maker.
He is.
He's a turnover guy. He makes big hits.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it feels like that secondary right now is like you're trying to complete a puzzle and you've got too many pieces and you just can't figure out which ones go where. And I don't know. It's bizarre to me. And I think that's why those games are so crucial.
Yeah. We should mention too, there's been pretty good reports about Kenny Robinson's play as well.
Freak's right.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah. Again, though, it's early, and we'll see what comes of that. I don't see Kenny Robinson making this team. I
don't either. But
they're too deep. But that he could be a guy who makes a practice squad and develops into a guy.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, and I think that's part of what the preseason. That's what I love about it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of fans that get way too caught up in whether it's a win or a loss. They get too caught up in who's playing a lot and who's not. You know, and you know, you just gotta watch these guys.
Is Arthur Millette still a free agent?
No, he signed with somebody.
Yeah,
Did he?
Was it the Jets or the Ravens?
Seems like it was somebody on the east side. Yeah,
Yeah.
East Coast. I did see Benny Snell sign with Detroit today. Matt said that Ravens. He thinks Millette.
He signed with the fucking Ratbirds.
Yeah.
Fucking prick.
Jerk.
Well, he didn't burn all the bridges on his way out of town, just one or two.
Fair enough.
He didn't really burn any bridges. He was just like, you know, it was a difference of opinion. He thought he was worth more money. You know, he basically
differences of opinion.
From his standpoint, he was told last year that, you know, if he played well in 2022, that he would see, you know, maybe he'd see an enhanced contract. He came back and said, "Hey, I played well. I deserve more money," and they were like, "No, that's not coming." And you know, we can talk at the end of the year, and we'll see where you're at, and we'll try to re-sign you. And he was like, "No, this, you know, this is bullshit. This is not what you told me it was going to happen." So there's a difference of opinion there. And he asked for his release. I think he asked for his release as kind of a threat. And they called us bluff and said, okay, here you go. Here's your release. Bye.
You are released. Guys, we are almost 57 minutes into this show. Yeah. And do you know the one name that has not been mentioned yet?
Ryan Scarpino.
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. That's right.
Because he sucks.
It's because Scarps isn't here. Right. What do you guys expect from quarterbacks tomorrow night? We know Pickett's going to play, and then we assume
Mason is having a horrible camp, and people are talking about him not making the team.
Listen, I still think he makes.
He's making the team.
Yeah, I mean Tanner Morgan's going to have to turn
100%. He is making the team now. Tanner Morgan may be a guy they keep around on the practice squad. They have these giant practice squads now, and they can afford the spot. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Tanner Morgan sticks around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure, Mason's making the team, and yeah, Mason sucks. I'm done.
Do you guys feel the same collective sigh every time Mason comes into a preseason game? It's just like.
I guess not really. You know, I'm just like, well, it's preseason, whatever.
Matt, I think pretty much any Steelers fan that plays with the Steelers on Madden, the first thing they do is go into their roster and cuts Mason Rudolph. So you're just part of the team, man. It's nothing new, buddy. At least that's what my son does. Yeah, I don't know. What about this?
I don't play video games. I stopped, so. I don't know, and I don't care.
Know what you're missing.
You know, I do know what I'm missing, and I'm not going back to that. So there's that.
All right. Fair enough. What else did you guys want to talk about today?
So let's talk about special teams, because I mean we got a punter battle. We got with Bob. Well, maybe. So we'll see. Maybe not compete with Boswell. Boz is making the team, but
Ian's having some issues.
Presley Harvin and what's his name? Braden Mann. Oh shit.
Braden Mann.
Hold
yep.
On.
What?
Yeah. Sorry. Is that better?
Yes,
it is.
Okay. I was trying to look up American Top 40 songs, and apparently the website takes so much bandwidth that
it was killing your vibe
for the show.
Top 40. Why are you looking that shit up?
Well, I was gonna do a little tribute to Scarps, but at any rate, we're not doing that.
Why? Nah.
I don't know.
Nah.
At any rate,
we can talk about Whitney Houston and the fart game. You want to do that?
Yeah.
that was how that was how Casey Kasem originated. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't here for that, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might need to be filled in on that.
Did you watch it?
No, and I refused
Why the fuck not? It was great. It was the greatest episode of Overtime ever.
Well, that's what I've heard. I'm very jealous I wasn't a part of it. That's the problem.
Your fault for having a shitty electric provider.
At
any rate, no, I am kind of excited to see how the punters punt, just to see how that plays out.
I don't want to see Harvin lose just because I want a new guy in there because he hasn't lived up to expectations. If man beats him out, then so be it.
Right.
But
you want to see Harvin be consistent,
yes,
over multiple kicks, and you want to see directional punting, which is something the Steelers value heavily.
Yep.
It's not just distance, it's being able to pin guys against the sidelines. And the other factor that you have to consider with whoever the punter is they're usually also the holder. Yep. So you keep an eye on that for field goals too.
Yep. And
I honestly can't believe Braden Mann was cut, to be honest with you. That really shocks the shit out of me. Although he's not like a great directional kicker, supposedly, but still surprised by it.
I mean, I'm curious to see how they do the rotation. Is it going to?
Well, he can also kick off. Did you know that?
I did read that, but
Man can kick off. Like, he's not a place kicker, but he can do kickoffs.
Right.
So that that's valuable as well.
It's valuable to me from the point that takes a little bit of strain off Boz's leg.
Right.
Because that's people just think kickoffs is like, go out and bang it and be done. That's a lot of strain on the old hips, man. And that's usually where Boswell has his problems. Is
the hips and the knees.
Yeah. So
Boswell's getting compensated pretty well. He's gonna be okay.
Also true. Yeah.
Just saying.
So speaking of special teams, Ian, I'm really curious to see what Tomlin wants to do, and Danny Smith, of course, with the return game.
Yes, that's a good point.
Are they both going to get opportunities? Meaning Austin and Olszewski.
They probably will on kickoffs for sure, and then on punts.
The kid, who's the kid? Jordan Bird is the one that he's kind of just
from San Diego State or whatever.
He's a specialist. He doesn't really offer you much more.
Yeah,
but he's a pretty wicked return guy, so I'm kind of curious to see.
So Mark asked a question today that I want to insert into this conversation, and since we haven't talked about it yet, who needs a strong showing tomorrow night to warrant consideration for a roster spot, or to put himself back in the running for a roster spot?
So in other words, somebody that's maybe in that 50.
That's like on the bubble, but it's about to be popped, and he's not really on the bubble.
We talked about Kendrick Green quite a bit. I mean, he's really
that's a guy for sure. They're trying to find a spot for him. They're doing their best to be like, hey man, what if you did this? What would this work? How would this work out?
Yeah. Quincy Roche, I think is another one.
If he can play special teams, he's got a leg up.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, Loudermilk, George, you might not be wrong there. If he cannot perform, they're going to have to do something.
He's playing well thus far in practices.
Yes, stepped his game up.
And put on another 5 pounds.
Yeah, that helps too. God, who else?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of those, I sort of referenced this, but some of those depth running back guys, like if Anthony McFarland doesn't have a good showing and somebody else comes out, because really, like at this time last year, we weren't talking about Jalen Warren hardly at all. And then he came out in the preseason and looked really good. And we're like, whoa, who's this guy?
Yeah, we saw him as another guy. No, totally that. Claude brought up Zach Gentry. I think they're going with 4 tight ends.
Do you?
I do.
I mean, I think they're going to call Connor Hayward an H-back. But I do think that he makes this team as a fullback / H-back.
Okay. Yeah. He would be in that group of my 4. So yes.
Yeah. So I think they're going to go with 3 guys, but that Connor Hayward makes the team as a separate on a separate unit.
He's not lining up as
a running back / H-back kind of a deal. By the way, Hayward, I don't think he does need to make a big splash tomorrow to make the team. I think if he continues in the trajectory he's on, he'll make the team. The guys I'm thinking of were like the Tanner Muses and the Nick Kwiatkowski.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you pronounce his name?
Just call him the
Kwiatkowski.
Polish guy.
Those two guys, it's going to be either or. Like, if Kwiatkowski, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski, cool.
Yeah.
If he can convince Danny Smith that he's as good a player on special teams as Tanner Muse is, he's got a shot. I don't think either one of them is going to pass Mark Robinson on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I think that Quan Alexander is going to make the team.
Yeah, I think.
And Holcomb and Roberts are making the team.
Yeah,
that's happening.
So one guy
it's guys like that. Like Kenny Robinson, I don't see it.
Guy we didn't mention was Miles Killebrew.
Miles Killebrew is making the team.
Special teams demon.
Again, special teams demon, right?
Yep. And but yeah, and they like him as an occasional kind of box safety.
I don't think that he's going to play much.
I don't
during on defense this year.
Right. I don't either.
Although I don't dislike him as a box safety, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a dime backer, but they just don't need him there, and there are better guys that fill that role. But again,
do you guys think
Danny Smith will keep him because he's valuable on special teams.
Yeah.
Ian,
I'm just throwing this out there, but we've got 3, maybe 4, but really 3 inside linebackers with fairly significant starting NFL experience. I mean, do you think we roll out a 5 linebacker package, which
would be the 4th?
Robinson, but with essentially give it like a 4-3 look, like with a Watt, Hayward, Ogunjobi, Highsmith front, and then
I see what you're saying.
Roberts, Holcomb, and Alexander as the 3.
You could do that on a rundown.
I can see it.
Yeah, I mean,
but what I would do in that situation is I would stick Watt off the ball and bring in Marcus Golden and put him at the line.
You can do that too.
See,
and if they decide they're going to get cute and throw the ball, TJ's back there, and he's ridiculously athletic, and he can chase the ball carrier down. And
I think that's just as likely. I can even see Herbig being used occasionally as that specialist guy.
Yeah,
I think that's actually an excellent point because he's not a real strong guy, but he has got great quicks in the short area.
He can give an offensive lineman or a running back some real problems on a pass rush. It
isn't just that. I'm thinking along the lines of him playing off the ball linebacker in a situation where he's not necessarily going to be a stack and shed and fill guy. He's more of a guy that can chase a ball carrier in the open field.
Claude, you mentioned, does Gunner make the team? Mike Tomlin loves his veterans. He loves Gunner.
I hope not.
Claude, we all fucking hope he doesn't make the team. It's a waste of $2 million.
Right. We are on the side of we hope they look elsewhere. But right now, before the first preseason game, I'd say he makes team.
Okay, Gunner and Mason can go off and start their own team.
And here's where I'm at wide receiver. Okay,
the Rudy Gunner show.
You have DJ and George Pickens who are making the team for sure. Allen Robinson's making the team. That's 3.
Yes.
Calvin Austin's making the team. That's 4.
Miles Boykin.
Miles Boykin is making the team by virtue of his special teams contribution. That's 5. You already have 5.
And if you're going to keep 4 tight ends or 3.5, considering Hayward. Okay.
Well, again, I mean, Hayward, what are they going to do? Are they going to call him a fullback? Are they?
That's true. They could.
If they cut Kendrick Green, and who they are apparently experimenting with, and saying, maybe you can play center and fullback in short yardage situations because maybe they don't think that Connor Hayward's the right guy in a short yardage situation, right? So they're going,
well, you could always just run like a tight end reverse to him at the biggest play of the year.
Sure, yeah.
That'll never work.
It worked last year.
It
the Raiders.
Did. Crazy.
I know
why?
that was the best call he
nobody fucking
they were
expected
ignoring him because they were fucking ignoring him.
Everybody was.
That guy's not going to get the ball.
Hell no.
Holy shit, it worked so well.
And don't forget about Hakeem Butler. I mean, I think he's got to do some work this preseason.
I think that Hakeem Butler has got as good a shot as any of the wide receivers after Miles Boykin to make this team.
Who was the
I
guy
do.
a year or two ago that had the outstanding preseason, and we all thought this is a no-brainer. He's going to make it as a receiver, and he got cut. I want to say he wore 80. What the hell was his name?
It wasn't Kobe Hamilton, because that guy actually played during the regular season.
No, Kobe was 83.
He was 83. He was 83 after Heath Miller.
God, who was somebody?
He was the leading receiver in that playoff game in the AFC Championship game against New England.
Who the hell was the guy? Was it just last year or 2 years?
No, it's 2
Was
years,
it
2 or
Vaughn?
3 years ago. And I remember the kid. He was so good on special teams.
He was good special teams. He made some great catches along the sidelines.
He made the team, and then he was awful and got cut.
Yeah.
Was it Spencer? Not
no.
Well, Charlie says Vaughn. Is it Vaughn?
No. Tyler Vaughn's was he didn't make the team. No, it was because there was that Deontay Spencer that was the kick return.
Right. He went to Denver.
And he went to Denver. It was that same year that we kept the other guy.
He was good.
And he was terrible.
He had a nice
Fuck, I can't remember his name. I can see his face actually.
I can too.
Yeah. Oh crap. Was it another Deontay?
No.
God
damn it.
It was
20, anyway, my point is you just don't know, because there's always one or two guys that when you see that roster, and granted, Ben made a great point earlier tonight that you're going to see a lot of turnover from when the final 53 is announced to when week 1 actually rolls around. There's going to be guys in and out. But there's always that one or two guys. It's like, holy shit, they cut him, and maybe it was Tyler Vaughn's.
It wasn't Tyler Vaughn's. I don't think it was. Tyler Vaughn's was on the team and played well, but it wasn't him.
Johnny something.
Johnny fucking something. Yes. God damn it.
Johnny
Holton.
That's
Holton.
It. I think
there
yes.
It is. Yeah.
He
Thank
had
you,
some
Ian.
big plays. And everybody in the nation was like, "Oh, this dude's good on the sidelines." Yeah. I think he scored a touchdown. After
he
he
did
broke a
make
tackle.
the team, and he was gone within 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I do remember Tyler Vaughn's now. Yeah, but thank you guys for chiming in.
Johnny Holton. I remember that very well. We were like, "Yep, he's making it. Made it." And
just
then,
to make sure that Ben didn't miss this.
Ben will settle for a Rudolph jersey for what?
Well, because the earlier comment that you may have missed, and I can't believe you missed this, because usually you say,
"Oh, fuck you, Johnny."
Thank you very much. There we go. It's not a show without that comment. Yeah. So I'm excited for tomorrow night, guys. Ian, do you have a prediction for tomorrow?
Honestly, I'm being serious when I say this. The three of us should get together, go to one of these fucking Chinese knockoff sites, and get Scarps a jersey with Mason Rudolph on. I'm serious. A Mason Rudolph jersey for Scarps.
Consider it done.
Would be a fantastic gift and so appropriate, given the lengths he's gone to defend him over the last 2 years.
After the bills are paid, I think I got enough for dhgate.com.
I'm just saying. It's a custom jersey, so it'll cost you like an extra $5. But
so it'll be like 30 total.
It'll be like $39 as opposed to $34.
Yeah.
And
so
Mason
maybe
Rudolph,
what I should do is get us all the jersey of our favorite players.
I think you're right. You should do that. I like that idea. I need a white one. I need another. I only have like 14 or 15 jerseys.
A white Mason Rudolph?
No, fuck you. I need a white. I need an away jersey. I will send you a name, and it'll be like something. It's not going to be like TJ Watt or
Cody White.
No, probably
Kimo von Oelhoffen.
No, I actually don't have any white jerseys.
Donnie Shell. Why the fuck do you not have any white jerseys?
I don't know.
I've got a white Cam that I love. I love my Cam Hayward white one.
Yeah.
Okay, listen.
Whoa. Aaron has a white Limas Swede.
No, I think he's suggesting that.
He's suggesting that.
He's suggesting
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was going to say that.
I would be afraid the mail carrier would drop that on the way.
The mail carrier would drop it on the way, and then he'd throw a devastating downfield block right after that.
You'd be one sweet bastard.
Well, no, he'd have to. He'd drop it and then call timeout because he's faking an injury and cost us a timeout in the AFC fucking championship game at the end of the first half that cost us 3 points. Sorry, I'm not still bitter about that.
Nah, nor
Not at all. Not at all.
No. This is really weird, guys. I don't know how to end the show without Casey. This is anyway, predictions tomorrow night. Prediction. Ian, who do you got winning the game tomorrow night?
Oh, shit.
Are you serious?
Yes, predictions. I love preseason predictions.
All right.
By the way, the line is Steelers. I think I saw Steelers -1.
All right. Steelers 19.
Fuck you too, Dan.
Buccaneers 16. It's gonna be an ugly, gross, stupid ass.
They always are. Absolutely. Yeah. Ben,
right.
What's your
19 to 16?
My prediction is I won't fucking care.
Fair enough. I'm gonna go 13 to 11 Steelers.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, who gives a shit? It's a fucking preseason game. It doesn't fucking matter. The coaches aren't even trying to win. They don't game plan. They just stick guys in willy-nilly going, hey, I wonder what'll happen if this guy plays.
Yeah.
Let's just see how he can compete with these guys. You know what?
True.
Those guys on the other side, they seem to be pretty fired up. Let's throw some guys in and let's see what happens. They're just trying to throw guys in, and it's basically a glorified
that's
fucking
the key point.
Yes, that is the most important thing.
Thank you.
Always.
Yes.
No major injuries. Ben is always so jolly. Reminds me
Ben's
of
right.
Santa. It's funny. Anyway,
Ben is the bright ray of sunshine on our show.
I saw a comment out there. No, we do not do this live during the games, and I'll be honest with you. Years and years ago, Matt and I used to do that. There was a website that was doing that.
I did it once. We both did it, I think.
Yeah. And it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of fun to do. The problem is that Ben watches the game with a very large number of drunk people.
A couple of them are here, and they're probably
a couple of them are in
too.
the chat right now. And I don't think that would go over particularly well.
Cheers, guys. You have to deal with Ben every Sunday. I'll drink to that.
Jesus, one night a week is enough. But yeah, we'll definitely be podcasting as usual on Thursdays, and I'm going to try and sneak in a few more interviews this year, like we had with Nick today, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, whatever you guys want, I'll try to get it for you. Anyway, make sure.
Here's one more point I was going to try and make.
Okay,
because Ian eschews the white jersey on an away game week.
Mm-hmm.
You should wear a white fucking jersey.
Yeah, see,
I
should. Do that,
You should.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I usually just wear my Steel City Blitz stuff, but you know.
Oh, okay. I have some of that shit too, and
but
I guess
wear it. By the way,
yeah,
I am so sick and tired of these individuals, and God love them because they're very talented people who are making these alternative uniforms for the Steelers. I saw one this week where the Steelers
were
all
gray
and
black. Fucking Raiders colors.
Why
the fuck would you do that?
I don't understand.
Why mess with perfection?
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
That's why.
Don't get me wrong. I would like to see some block numbers.
Yes.
A slight change.
Yes.
I'd love to see forever again. I'd love that. That would be fantastic. Beyond that, no. Don't mess with it. Leave it alone.
Black numbers come
Leave
back.
It
that's it.
alone.
Yeah. I get the excitement over trying to create something, and maybe it sticks. I get it, but
the Pittsburgh Steelers are not the Oregon fucking Ducks.
No.
All right,
of the Big Ten.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are not the Oregon fucking Ducks.
Ian, didn't you know that Eugene, Oregon sits right on the coast of Lake Michigan?
Yes.
Are you not aware of that?
Yeah, maybe you guys did not realize this, but it's closer. It's easier, a shorter flight to fly from Ann Arbor to London than it is to fly to Eugene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why these conferences all make perfect sense, right?
Yeah. And it's not just football. Wait till, like the Oregon women's basketball team has to play a Wednesday night game at Rutgers. Like they're going to love that.
Oh, yeah.
To that point, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see college football break off completely separate from conferences. I think it's going to be its own entity, because that is ridiculous that a college basketball team or a lacrosse team has to fly from Rutgers to UCLA on a Wednesday night and then come back.
They're all going to be independents like Notre Dame.
Just in football. Football will have one. That's it.
Football will have its own thing.
I gotta say, I mean,
first of all, have that now
since
because
we're talking college football anyway. The Pac-12, like whoever ministers that, not being able to get a media rights deal. That's why this all happened. The Pac-12 wasn't aggressive enough in securing a media rights deal,
right?
Because they didn't want to accept what was out there. They wanted more money, and as a result, they have 2 teams left: Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah,
it's the Pac-2.
They tried to pitch an Apple TV deal to their conference, and everyone was like, "Fuck no, we're not doing this."
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and the other side too is, there's like, look at whatever used to be 1AA FCS now football or whatever it is, right? You have only certain conferences sponsor football. So you've got schools that play basketball in, like, say, the Patriot League, but then are in the Missouri Valley Conference for football only.
Right.
And I think you're right. I think that's the way it's probably going to go. That for the other sports, they'll stay more regional, but for football, they'll kind of form into the, ESPN and Fox conferences, basically.
Which is total fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I agree 100%, but it's coming.
But the other side is, like, you've got schools like Ohio State that pay for their entire athletics budget based on their football program.
Right.
Like, all their other sports are paid for based on their football revenue.
And that's true of, honestly, of a lot of athletics programs.
Yeah.
I mean, even Arizona, where I went to school, the football team, which isn't good, generates enough revenue by itself to cover 65%. Maybe it was 70% of the entire athletics budget, all by itself. And the basketball team is good.
Yes, they're better than the football team.
They're way better, and they're a national draw every year. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The football team still makes more money.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, I don't know if you guys heard this today, and maybe Aaron knows this. CJ Stroud last year, they said, made between $10 and $20 million in NIL money.
I'm not shocked.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah.
But I mean, unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
And that's only the beginning.
Yeah.
Well,
and actually, I think that the NIL thing is kind of a game changer to have kids stay in school and stay in college longer, because, if you're,
it is.
Especially, I've
yes
seen it with college basketball a little bit too, that guys who probably would have gone to the NBA and been like a borderline first, second round pick.
Fuck off, Matt.
For the NBA, like, first round picks are guaranteed contracts, second round picks are not. So like, those guys who are like borderline first, second round picks are like, I'm going to stay in school for another year, build up my draft stock, and make millions of dollars in NIL money, and it's not going to hurt me financially.
Yeah, it does, though. And here's why. The reason that guys should, at least if they're going to be high draft picks, first through third round, go out early is,
when that's in the NFL, though. If they're early NFL draft picks.
Correct.
I was talking basketball first.
Even basketball, if you're going to be a first round pick, even if you're not a guy who's a superstar, but you're going to be a first round pick because you have that kind of athletic ability, that kind of potential, you should go out early. And it's the same, like hockey, same deal. If you're that guy who's going to be a first round pick, an early round pick, you want to go out as early as you can, because you want to get to that second contract as early in the game as you possibly can, because you have this window where you can make money.
It's a small window.
And where you start making money is that second contract. Your second contract, you start making the big bucks, and you start banking money away. And for some of these guys, it's life-changing. It's like their whole family benefits by the fact that they've got these contracts. So it's kind of a big deal. It really, really is. Like, getting out as early as you can is a big, big deal.
Yeah. Aaron, what is Grippos? I don't even know. What is that?
I would guess it's some kind of receiver's
Harrison
gloves.
Jr.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
Chip
Gri-
out. His own
Grippos?
chip out? What chip? What's a chip?
I don't. Is that a food?
What the hell does that mean?
Or I don't know. Is that some kind of Bitcoin thing? I don't know.
Good evening, everyone.
Bitcoin.
Try these new
Yeah.
Grippos.
He's got
available in barbecue.
some non-fungible tokens that he's selling
Yeah,
on
I
the
don't know.
interwebs. I don't really understand that either.
Yeah, kids.
All my
these days.
company football players in bubble wrap.
Apparently it is a
brand of
chip
chips.
brand.
West Point?
Okay.
Yes.
Steelers freak went to West Point. I can't believe it. There's no way anyone that bright is listening to this program.
Hey, Steelers freak, do you know a guy named Joe Carmody? Do you?
This is a really deep cut question.
This ought to be good.
Because I'm
potato
just
chips,
saying,
huh? All right.
love the guy, but he's, yeah, you might know him.
Yeah.
If we're like the same age-ish, you might know the guy.
All right. Well, hey, anyway, we're getting on out of here. Make sure you stop by the site, stillcityblitz.com. Most of you already know, but follow us on our socials and all that other good stuff. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I don't know, MySpace, maybe. I don't know, whatever. Next week, we'll recap
His
the
own
game.
potato chip.
Ian, what night do we play next week? Are we on Thursday next week?
Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Yeah, we do have a couple Thursday games, so we may have a podcast during the end of a game.
We have Thursday preseason games?
Yeah, I think we do.
I might be drunk for those already before we start.
Right.
Okay.
Before we start filming.
Hey, one other thing for the local Western Pennsylvania listeners, I've got my high school football preview post going up.
The Whippeals.
Yeah, Whippeal stuff is coming. Yes. So
Yeah,
check that out
for the
too
Whippeal
on
stuff.
SteelCityBlitz.com.
Always the best high school football coverage
Well, we're
in
an hour
Western
and a half
Pennsylvania, right
What the
there.
fuck?
It is. I don't say that because he's on that site, but it is. Anyway, have a great night, everybody. Thanks as always for joining us on the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.